So, as we're wrapping up 2025, it really feels like the world is pulling in two completely opposite directions. You've got this incredible optimism on one side, and then some really deep-seated conflicts on the other. So let's try and make some sense of it all.
Just take a look at these two headlines from the very same day. On the one hand, in the financial world, you have this record-breaking Santa Claus rally pushing U.S. markets to heights we've never seen before. And at that exact moment, a lethal drone strike is ratcheting up tensions on the Chad-Sudan border. I mean, this is the perfect snapshot of the world we're living in, pulling in two different directions at once.
All right, so first up, let's dive into that global security picture. It's a landscape where you see peace deals being signed one week and then fresh fighting breaking out the next.
So the flashpoint here is the Altina military base, which is just inside Chad's borders. After a drone strike killed 2 soldiers there, the finger-pointing started almost immediately. You've got Chad and the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF, blaming the rival Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. They're accusing them of trying to stir up chaos. But the RSF? They're denying everything and pointing the finger right back at the SAF. It's just a really dangerous cycle of accusations in an already volatile part of the world.
Meanwhile, over in Nigeria, you have 2 completely different stories being told about these recent U.S. airstrikes. The official line from the U.S. is that they carried out a powerful and deadly strike against Islamic State militants. But on the ground, villagers are reporting widespread panic, and security analysts are asking, did they miss the real targets, or were the targets even ideological groups at all, and not just local bandits?
In this quote from Femi Oolade really gets to the heart of the issue. His argument is that this kind of military intervention just ignores the root causes, things like governance failures, and it risks stirring up local tensions, which could actually make a really complex situation even worse.
And if you want to see just how fragile peace can be, look no further than the DRC. In early December, a major peace deal gets signed. Just a few weeks later, M23 rebels capture the strategic city of Uvira. Now, they claim to withdraw, but the DRC military says it was just a trick, that they just melted into the local population before launching their own airstrikes on rebel assets. So much for that Washington Accord, right?
At the very same time, you've got this major diplomatic push happening with Ukraine. We're talking high-stakes peace talks scheduled between President Zelensky and Trump with a detailed 20-point plan that's supposedly almost ready to go. But as the diplomats are getting ready to meet, Russian missiles and drones are still falling on Kyiv. It's just this grim reminder that talks on paper don't stop the violence on the ground.
But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Amid all of these escalating conflicts, we did get a moment of de-escalation. Thailand and Cambodia have signed a ceasefire agreement to put an end to weeks of border clashes. It just goes to show you that diplomatic off-ramps are still possible.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about the economy. And honestly, the signals here are just as confusing, with record-breaking optimism living right next door to record-breaking fear.
The optimism, it's pretty hard to miss. The S&P 500, which tracks 500 of the biggest companies in the U.S., just surged to a new all-time high. It's capping off what has been a fantastic year for the stock market.
And it wasn't just the S&P 500. Nope, the tech-heavy NASDAQ also shot up to a record high, mostly fueled by this incredible belief that artificial intelligence is about to unlock massive gains in productivity all across the economy.
But then, at the exact same time, you have this happening. Gold, the ultimate safe haven asset that people buy when they're nervous, also hit a record high. And get this, silver jumped a staggering 10% in a single day. It's like investors are betting on explosive growth and total disaster at the same time.
So that brings us to the big question, right? What in the world is going on here? Is the market being driven by optimism or by fear? And the answer seems to be both. Investors are clearly excited about AI, but they're also worried about things like currency stability and global conflict. So they're placing bets on both sides.
And this quote kind of highlights where some of that underlying anxiety is coming from. You're seeing this growing push from leaders in the Global South to create alternatives to the U.S. dollar-dominated financial system. This call to align with blocs like BRICS, it really reflects a desire for a major economic realignment, and that's a trend that's definitely making some global investors nervous.
Okay, for our last section, let's zoom out a bit and look at some of the other big stories shaping our world. Everything from the power of nature to the frontiers of science.
Nature definitely made its presence felt this week. A major 7.0 earthquake shook Taiwan,
And on the other side of the world, a massive winter storm grounded over 1,500 flights, just completely wrecking holiday travel plans in the U.S. Now for something really cool from the world of science. To get this, we first need to know what a deuteron is. Just think of it as a super simple and very, very delicate atomic nucleus. It's made of just one proton and one neutron. And the key word here really is delicate.
So the big mystery for scientists at the Large Hadron Collider was, how could these fragile little things possibly survive inside a particle collision that's hotter than the core of the sun? Well, the answer is they don't. This new research shows that they actually form after all the initial chaos, once the fireball starts to expand and cool down. It's kind of like trying to build a house of cards in a hurricane. You have to wait for the wind to die down first.
And in the world of sports, the Africa Cup of Nations is really heating up. Egypt managed to lock in its spot in the next round with a tight 1-0-1 win over South Africa. Meanwhile, a 1-1 draw between Angola and Zimbabwe leaves both of their tournament hopes kinda hanging by a thread.
So we kind of end up right back where we started, in a world of contradictions. We've seen markets betting on a future of AI-driven prosperity, while at the same time, investors are hedging against disaster with record-priced gold. We've seen peace talks scheduled under a hail of missiles. And it all leaves us with one final question. Is this state of permanent contradiction our new normal?